Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to be looking at the question, find the power using DeMoivre's theorem. So I'm given in this case a complex number, and I need to know what would it be if I raised to the fourth power. And in particular, I want to put it into complex form, or excuse me, into polar form, because that would be the quickest way of working it out. Of course, I could put it into four binomials and then FOIL it out, but that would be very tedious, especially if we look at if we continue with problems such as this. The higher we go in power, the more and more that method becomes useless. So instead we're going to use, as it said, DeMoivre's theorem, which states that if I some complex number raised to a power, in polar form, it takes the form r to the n power times cosine of n theta plus I sine of n theta. So what we need to find is what is our r, what is our theta. Recall that we can find r by taking the square root of x squared plus y squared, or, since we're talking about a complex number, we'll get a squared plus b squared, taking the square root of it, because we're essentially finding the Pythagorean theorem. We're finding the length of a hypotenuse. Theta we'll get from, using our formula, tangent of theta equals b over a, or inverse tangent of b over a equals theta. So here's my A, here's my B. Let me first do, I want to find inverse tangent. Tangent of theta would be square root of 3 over negative 1, or negative square root of 3. So I need to figure out what angle does this represent. This follows my 30, 60, 90 triangle. So I want square root of 3 over 1. I'm going to ignore the negative for now. Square root of 3 over 1 using tangent, opposite over adjacent uses the 60-degree angle. So I'm looking at pi over 3. Now, since tangent is negative in this case, tangent is negative in quadrants 2 and 4. To narrow it down, looking back at my rules here, if I want to find inverse tangent is defined on negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, which represents quadrants 1 and 4. So I have my overlap in quadrant 4. So if we're in quadrant 4, using pi over 3 as a reference angle, I can determine that my theta is 5 pi over 3. Now I have theta. I want to determine r. I'll say r is equal to square root of negative 1 squared plus square root of 3 squared becomes 1 plus 3, which is 2. So I have r, I have theta, and the 4 becomes my n. Now I'll set it to the formula. So my r again, let me write it out, was 2. Theta was 5 pi over 3, and n is 4. So I'll have 2 to the fourth power times cosine of 4 times 5 pi over 3 plus I sine of 4 times 5 pi over 3. I can simplify inside here. Of course, 2 to the fourth gives me 16. I think of this as 4 over 1. So 4 times 5 gives me 20 over 3, which I cannot reduce, so I'm left with cosine of 20 pi over 3 plus I sine of 20 pi over 3. Again, this is in polar form, the polar form of a complex number, so it's fine to leave it like so. And I have my complex number raised to a power.